friends, it is Elizabeth, and you know who's over here, right? Dale Cooper hasn't been here all day, but the minute that I started to do a video, guess who showed up? My hair looks a little crazy today. Anyway, this is my somewhat belated response to the WLS topic of the week, which is talk about how one relationship has changed as a result of weight loss surgery. And I had a particular idea in mind when I created the topic of what I wanted to talk about, and it's what I'm going to talk about. But I just have found it really interesting to watch your guys' videos and see that a lot of people are talking about their relationships with their self. And truth, that is, I mean, of any relationship in my life, the one that has changed the most. If you could see Dale Cooper, he's being so sweet right now. The one that has changed the most is the one with myself, truth. And maybe that'll be a different topic further out. But yeah, for sure, that's the biggest change. But love hearing I love seeing your videos and that you guys are playing along. And mine is actually about my son. So really every relationship in my life has changed. I mean, the long-term relationships with friends and family, all the new friends and people that I have in my life, you know, adding romantic relationships back into the mix after a really long time. I mean, my relationship with my coworkers, everything, it has all changed. But I think the one that surprised me the most and the way in which it changed was my relationship with my son, who is 21 years old, and he was almost 18 when I had weight loss surgery. And, you know, and that's also a time when your relationship with your kids are going to just change generally because of them leaving home, etc., etc. But I just wanted to touch on the things that I think are weight loss surgery related, or just some of the things he's shared with me about it that I did not think of in a million years, and some of the things that he hasn't shared but I think may be an underlying factor a little bit. So my son and I have always been exceptionally close. I was a single parent for much of his life. I love and adore him to the moon and back. He is the coolest, smartest, kindest, tender-hearted. I mean, he can be annoying too, and he has done some things, but I mean, just generally who he is as a person is really pretty wonderful. Certainly not perfect as we particularly in these, you know, teenage young adult years, but we have always had a very close relationship. There were times when we had, you know, struggle when he was growing up as a teenager, but there was a certain point where I got to, before weight loss surgery, where I was just like, I have to release my expectations about what I want for him and let him make some decisions and take ownership for his life at this point. So, which I did, and I think things sort of mellowed out a lot after I did that. That's not being, you know, hugely permissive necessarily, but it's like looking at what's working for him, and even if it doesn't fit my traditional idea of what I wanted for him, it's okay. And it was. So that was good advice. So I did a video with him when I was pretty newly post-op, and I'll put it down below, talking about how my weight had impacted him growing up, and he said it didn't, and maybe it didn't. And one of the reasons that I waited so long to have weight loss surgery was, number one, I was worried, and I thought it was too big of a risk to take as a single parent to that I shouldn't have a surgery like that. I should be able to do it by myself. Well, we all know where it should get us. And I also, and I think I said this in another video recently, thought that the surgery was much more complicated than it actually was. But I also think that I was worried because being a mom has always been super important to me. And there were times in my life where my parents my mom particularly put relationships ahead of her kids. And I was very, very adamant that I never want to do that. And I actually think it's one of the reasons that, I mean, I was always overweight, but that I gained my significant weight after I split up with his dad, and there was a possibility, and I was a single mom, and I think I was really worried about not trusting myself to make the right choices as far as men go. Not that I make the right choices always now either, but it's different when you don't have a little kid at home. So I think there was a part of me that was afraid to do this when he was still little. So anyway, I finally decided to have weight loss surgery when he is April of his senior year of high school. And he leaves to go to college in September. And he's just living in LA. It's not that far away. We still see each other. And things were fine, but over the years following surgery, some things have come up that have been really interesting to me. Number one was once, and this was not that long ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, he said to me, you know, it really, really bothers me when you make a disparaging comment on social media about the person that you were, because that was my mom. Yeah, it was. He's like, that's the person I knew. So I was like, okay. And he also expressed that it was difficult to see at a time when he was growing up and leaving home how much my life was taking off. I had always been pretty much predominantly focused on him. Not that I mean, I would drop everything if he called me and needed me. I would absolutely be there. But I just started to realize in some things we've gone through over the last year is that I was really depressed. You know, his whole childhood, I was super, super, super depressed. And it's not fun to grow up with a depressed parent, and I think he is probably a little bit resentful that he wants me to be happy, I'm certain. I mean, I have no doubt about that, but I think he's a little resentful of the life that I'm living now and that I didn't live then. And it's just, and the reason I wanted to make a video about this is I just want to put it out there. If I had seen somebody talk about this when I was thinking about, I mean, first time I went to consider surgery, he was a baby. Because it never in a million years occurred to me that he might have some anger about the fact that I don't know, didn't deal with this earlier, or maybe even, and he has never said this, this is just my own assumptions about it, is, and I hope he doesn't feel this way, but maybe he thinks that there's something that's connected to the fact that he left home and then my life improved. And that is not it. A million years not it, but I can see how when you're a child and a young adult, you think everything that happens is about you. And I can see that, I could see how he might take that and internalize it. So it's, I mean, he's supportive and proud of me, I know, but our relationship has really shifted, and you know, I'm very different than I was when he was home and growing up, and I'm sure that's a challenge for him. And I'm also, you know, his father passed away, so I'm also the one he can take shit out on, so there's that too, which is always fun. But this is what I try to do, because I think this is what our job is as a parent, is to know that some of the stuff is just about kids growing up and separating from their parents, and I, you know, I'm sort of the only one he has to be annoyed with, and I can contain that, you know, I can contain that and know that that we have a solid foundation. I'm gonna get all teary. That we have a solid foundation, and that although I didn't do a perfect job as a parent, I did a good job. You know, he is a great young man, and I hate it when people say they did the best they could, because for me, when I was growing up, I didn't feel like the best they did was enough, and maybe my son feels that too, but I really tried to go past the parenting examples and the boundaries and stuff I had set up in my own life to create a good life for him. But now it's in retrospect that I see where, you know, it's funny. When he was really little, I mean, I don't even think he was 1 yet, and I knew I was going to be a single parent, and I picked up this book about, you know, being a single parent, And one of the things that the writer wrote was you can't just tell your kids how to live their lives. You have to show them an example of a happy life. And I remember putting that book down and putting it back in the bookshelf and not picking it up for years because I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I couldn't do that. I could talk the talk. I could read all the books and try to do things I was supposed to do. But I could not show him a happy life because I didn't know how to do that then. And I guess I wish I had maybe done this a little bit earlier so I could have shown him how happy it was possible to be when he was still at home. Anyway, I don't know if that's talking about how relationships change. I don't know, but that's what I was thinking about when I came up with this topic. So you guys have a great week. I hope you will turn into the naked truth this week with Paul Fireball as my BFF. I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.